I would like to thank you for joining us for this very first live stream. We're so excited and so freaked out at the same time. If something doesn't go right, please forgive us. It's the first time and we're co-hosting this. So I'm hosting from the studios of Yellow Birdie. And Mina is hosting from the studios of the Grace Disease Chef.
Yes. Yay.
So I'm so excited. I'm excited every time I see Mina. I'm so excited to have you with me on the first live.
I'm so excited too.
Yeah, it's incredible. I thought I would introduce Mina from my perspective and by talking about her as a human. I met Mina through a program that I was doing online. We had to keep our videos in that particular program. We had to keep them on. So I saw her on the video and I'm like, who is this human being? Because she's just like that, you know, she was smiling and she was laughing and her reactions to everything that was being taught were like so incredible. I thought I have to get to know this person. So I reached out to Mina and we've been amazing friends ever since. We haven't met in person just yet, but that's
yet.
It's gonna be remedied. I am putting it out to the universe that it's gonna be remedied this year, right? We have 5 months to accomplish this and it's accomplishable.
I love it. And she's in Hawaii. If anybody
I'm in Hawaii.
She's in Hawaii. So I know where I want to go.
Yeah. So we're meeting probably in Hawaii because why not? This is a beautiful place to meet.
Yes.
And it's happening before the end of the year. So I'm Olga Miller. For those of you who don't know who I am the founder and creator of Yellow Birdie, yellow like Jello, no W. And what is Yellow Birdie? Yellow Birdie is an ecosystem that I'm building for women and little humans. That's an ecosystem where women can come and learn and explore themselves, where they can collaborate, and where they can, very importantly, have fun with the purpose. Now, officially here in Hawaii, I do so many different things. I'm a content creator, but I'm also a life coach. I am a mentor, but I also collaborate with a lot of beautiful women primarily who do beautiful things. And that's across all lines, across all borders. So whether it's artists or creators or beautiful chefs, as long as they have positive energy and as long as they are bringing something positive into the world. One of the things that I do is a brand new project is Ordinary Talks with Extraordinary Women, which is a podcast. And Mina was one of the fabulous guests on the podcast. So I'm going to drop her episode in the chat so that you're able to listen to it if you haven't already, because it's definitely worth your time. We had the most amazing conversation on the podcast, and I had to condense it to 36 minutes, and it was very hard.
I think we were on for an hour and a half.
Yeah. So it was, and we would have been, we were talking about it earlier. So with Mina, we would have been, 45 hours is not enough, but we had an hour and a half that I had to condense to 36 minutes, and it's absolutely fabulous, worth your time. Girls, check it, and guys, check it out, please. And now, Mina, how do I know Mina again? So we met online and then we started chatting, and Mina talked about how she overcame Graves' disease. And I found it absolutely fascinating how she is so full of life and so full of light and so full of laughter and so full of smiles, where she has gone through some really difficult times in her life. And she's a very accomplished professional. She's a very accomplished woman and individual and mom. With all the problems, with all the difficulties, with all the challenges that she had to deal with, she managed to keep the light on. And so I would like to maybe now allow Mina to introduce herself in the way that you find most fitting.
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say welcome to everyone on the Zoom right now and for taking the time to be here. It's so nice to see all these familiar faces here today. So hi, everyone. I don't want to name everyone, but y'all know who you are. So hi, and welcome to our first live stream Q&A with Olga Miller. Thank you for that introduction. Oh my gosh. Wow. I don't even know what else to share, but I will say, I am the Graves' disease chef, and my mission right now, which is really in my heart, is to help people because there are, in America alone, there's 2 million people in the US that get diagnosed with Graves' disease every year. And that's astounding. And I didn't know that. I didn't even know what Graves' disease was. I certainly do now. And what I try to do is help people learn how to starve their disease and thrive and not just survive, because so many women in particular go undiagnosed. And so this month, which is a perfect time to be on the Q&A, this month is actually Graves' disease awareness month. And so I try to be on social media every day to just raise awareness about Graves' disease. And yes, I'm a chef, and I became a chef because I needed to learn how to take care of my body from the inside out. And that's my love. I've actually been retired for the last almost 2 years, two decades, 2 years, 2 decades, and came out of retirement because I am on a mission to help people get better and stay better and feel better. I mean, I feel amazing. I'm going to be 60 tomorrow. And I actually, this is how I feel. I really do. I feel very, very grateful, very healthy, and very alive. And I've never felt this healthy in all my life. And I actually thank Graves' disease for that, because I would have never known how to feel this fabulous. I do. I feel fabulous. I don't feel like I'm going to be 60. Don't even know what that really means, but tomorrow is that birth date. So yeah, but thank you for having me on our first live stream together.
This is exciting, and it actually I'll segue into one of the questions that I was going to ask, and you just sort of answered it for me. But is what is the best thing? It's counterintuitive, but what is the best thing that happened to you since you got diagnosed?
Okay, I love that question. The best thing is that I'm actually realizing that this isn't about me. It's not about me. It's about reaching the people around the world. And you do it one at a time who are still suffering in silence. I'm going to just tell you this. I'm a little emotional because one of the Graves' disease warriors that has been following me for some time just messaged me and said she has Graves' disease and she's had Graves' disease for quite some time. And she says, Mina, I'm excited and I'm scared. I just found out I'm expecting. And that's big news, but it's also very scary when you have Graves' disease because of the extra layers that you now have to contend with, knowing that, you have another little one inside of you because your body doesn't function the same. And so the ability for me to be able to help people on their journey and the things that they need to start doing, that they can start doing today to start feeling better, and not just feeling better and getting better, but staying resilient and staying better through this journey. Because when you have Graves' disease, you have it, you literally have it for the rest of your life. It's how you take care of it. It waxes and wanes, and you can get into remission, but it starts with you.
So this brings me to my next question, and that is, in general, there's some people here who know what the Graves' disease is, and there are people who don't. I didn't know before I met you what it was. So if you could, in a nutshell, tell us.
Yes, absolutely. And I get asked that a lot. In fact, that is part of the role that I'm playing, is to try to raise awareness. So what Graves' disease is basically, it's an autoimmune disease. It's a chronic autoimmune disease. And your immune system, which we all know your immune system is set up to protect you from illnesses and viruses. Well, there's something going on with your immune system, right? It's just going wackadoo, basically, is how I like to put it. What happens is your immune system isn't doing its job And your thyroid, which controls so many parts of our body, your lungs, your heart, your metabolism, your hormones, your thyroid, because your immune system isn't working, thinks it's under attack. So your thyroid begins to overproduce thyroid hormone, because that's what it does. And when that happens, oh, okay, there are so many symptoms, but let me just run through them as quickly as I can. So your thyroid's overproducing hormones, right? Thyroid hormone. So you start rapidly losing weight, very unhealthy, rapidly losing weight. You're losing hair, you're experiencing depression, you're having panic attacks, your high blood pressure is through the roof, even when you're doing nothing at all. You're sitting still and your blood pressure is sky high, dangerously high. You're having heart palpitations and you have no libido. You're having panic attacks, anxiety. I think I said that already. Insomnia. So I was textbook Graves' disease. And here's the worst part of all. Those symptoms, they're not just happening one at a time. You're experiencing them all at the same time. That's what Graves' disease is.
So how is it that you had it, you were first diagnosed in 2016?
2015. I was
15.
diagnosed in 2015. And here I want to just share this with everyone on this call right now, is that I had just had my physical a month before, right? And before that, I was doing great. My physical came back perfect. My numbers were good. It was a great year because I had just turned 50. So I was skydiving, I was scuba diving. I had learned to do all of those things at 50, right? And a month after my physical, I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't even sit up. When I finally went to go see my primary care physician, because he had just seen me literally a month before, he looked at me and said, "Oh my, what happened to you? Like, what is going on?" And I said, "I don't know." I had lost in 2 weeks, I'd lost 15 pounds. That's what's happening so fast. I was actually balding back here because so much hair was falling out. And yes, Angie, it was so scary. I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I couldn't get out of bed for a month. I couldn't get out of bed. I had no appetite. I didn't know what it was. And here, okay, this is something I want it to be a takeaway is the doctor said to me, "I think you have the flu." And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't have the flu. This is not the flu. I don't even have a fever. I'm like depressed. I don't want to do anything, because it controls your hormones. I said, I don't have the flu. And he said, we're going to have to run more tests. And when you go to the doctor, usually they do an intake, right? Early on when you start to first see your primary care physician. So they look at your history, your medical history. So they usually only ask about the medical history of your maternal grandparents and your parents, and your paternal grandparents and your parents. They don't often ask about siblings. Well, I said to him, okay, this is interesting because my older sister has something called Graves' disease. And he said, oh my goodness, you actually are exhibiting many of the Graves' disease symptoms. And this is how I reacted. Oh my gosh, no, 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 you can't be serious. And he goes, I'm afraid you have a lot of the symptoms. And he said, why did you just respond like that? And I said, because my older sister is a mess. Okay, she got diagnosed with that disease 5 years ago. She doesn't have her thyroid anymore, and she underwent radiation. And she's a mess. And mind you, this is already 5 years after she had all those medical procedures done. And he goes, well, yeah, that's because that's what the protocol is. When you have Graves' disease, they remove your thyroid. And before that, they actually, you undergo radiation to shrink your thyroid. And I thought, no, I don't want that. And he goes, well, you kind of don't really have a choice because that's how it works. I finally went to a specialist. She can continue to tell me, and I did, I had Graves' disease. And my numbers, as you can imagine, were off the charts. And she said, as soon as we get you stable, we have to do surgery. We're probably just going to skip radiation because we got to get that out of there. And I said, are there any other options? Because I don't want that. I saw what it did to my sister. It absolutely destroyed her. Until now, you fast forward, it's been many, many years. It's been 15 years. And we're at family parties. She's usually upstairs laying down in bed because she is still that sick. They still can't get it right. They can't get her medication right. And she's going to be on thyroid medication for the rest of her life because they have to mimic the thyroid because she doesn't have it. I don't want that. I didn't want that. And when my doctor said there was nothing I could do and that it was unlikely that I could get better, I asked, does anyone ever get better? And her answer was, it is very, very rare, Mina, very rare for anyone to go into remission. And what I heard, instead of no, I heard it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to go figure that out. And that's what I did. And I have been in remission for over 6 years now. And I know that my job, if you will, is to share that news and to help people understand you have healthier options to consider. I'm not saying my way is the right way, but I lived through it and I'm still experiencing it. And I feel great. So that was a very long answer to your question. I apologize. But
we received a few questions after the show went live, your episode on Ordinary Talks with Extraordinary Women. And some were really hard questions. Some of them I shared with you yesterday, but I wanted this to be an organic discussion where, no prep. People who have Graves' disease or who have terminal illness reached out and said, look, this is wonderful that she's in remission, but I'm in a really dark place and I don't even know where to start. I just don't want to get out of bed. Maybe there is a chance, but maybe not for me. There were a few people who reached out with this, like, where do you start? So a lot of people who have a terminal disease go in, right? They become very self-focused for a reason, of course. I'm sure there was a moment where you went in, but then you decided to find the answer, and that was not easy, especially with you displaying all of those symptoms that you mentioned. So what was the process like for you, and what would you say to those people who reached out and said, well, she did it, but I don't see the light at the end of this very, very dark tunnel?
that's a hard question. You've heard me say this, and I will share it again. And that is that I chose not to stay in the darkness because I made myself choose that because we have that power. We have the power to make these choices. I chose to not sit in the darkness and go seek out the light because nothing good ever grows in darkness. I finally realized that I had to change my mindset. These are the things that I do, and I can list them off one hand, 3 fingers. I got rid of television. Television. Okay, we used to do TV turn off week in our home. I turned off the television, but I did it permanently. We have not had a television in our house since 2009. Why? Because most of media is not happy news. You know, the dark stuff is what sells. And so I got rid of my television. Number two, I started doing something when I actually got the energy to do this. And you can start slow, but this is what I do every morning, every single morning before I start my day is I write not just one, but three things I'm grateful for. Right? Three. You can do one if writing three things down isn't easy. Write one thing down that you're grateful for and like embrace that, sit with it, you know, because there's something to be said about typing versus writing. There's a connection. I learned this. You write it down, you feel the words, not being Delulu, but you feel the word. And then the other thing you do is you write three things down after you've written down what you're grateful for. Write three things down that are goals for you for the day. If that goal, one goal is to get out of bed, that's a goal. If the other goal is to go sit outside and let the sun kiss your face, get outside and go do that. I know, oh my gosh, I know cancer. I know cancer. I have very close family that have been taken because of cancer. So I know it. And so you write the three things down. If you only want to have one goal for the day, write it down and go do it. And I have to show you this. I actually have, and it sits right here, right beside me on my desk. Okay. It's called a grateful jar. This is what it looks like. This is one of them. I have many of them in the house. And at the end of the day, I fold up a piece of paper that I wrote what I'm grateful for and my goals. And if I accomplish my goals, I cross it off. And I'm crying because I feel for the people who are on this call that are experiencing such a dark place. You have the power to change that. You really do. You have to believe that you do. But at the end of the day, I will put my little note to myself in here. And when I'm having a dark day, you know what I do? I go and I open up this jar and I reach in wherever and I pull out this, whatever this is, and I read it because it reminds me how truly beautiful you get another day. You get another day. And this reminds me of why I'm here. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mina. That was beautifully put. Thank you for sharing and thank you for being so vulnerable. We unfortunately have only 4 minutes left into our live stream, and I have a lot of questions that were asked, but I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go for maybe just a couple or maybe one. We'll see.
Now, some people have to pop off, but if anyone wants to stay on, I don't know, do you like for an extra 5 more minutes?
Jenny Cohen asked 3 questions. I'm gonna go for the best one. Sorry, Jenny. What is different pre and post Graves' disease diagnosis for you now?
Wow. Okay. Is Jenny here? Hi, Jenny. All right. What has been different from pre to post Graves' disease? Okay. Pre-Graves' disease, I did not understand the power of food. I mean, we all know, you know, we're supposed to do the right things. We should be staying away from ultra processed foods and fast foods. And I'm not talking about processed because a lot of our food is processed, right? Like if you buy a bag of frozen vegetables or if you buy a jar of organic almond butter, that's been processed. It had to be processed in order to get into the jar. But I pretty much I ate pretty healthy before I got Graves' disease. And I would say I had a pretty healthy lifestyle, you know, but post Graves' disease, I'm not militant about it, but I am so intentional and deliberate about the decisions that I make as to, and it goes full circle, okay? So about the decisions I make, from what I put into my body to the kinds of activities I choose to participate in, and the circle of people, and this is important, I surround myself. That is a superpower. That is actually, aside from a superpower, that's a secret sauce. Because if you surround yourself with people who are supportive and loving and kind and bring you joy, guess what happens? That's contagious. If you choose to be around people who are negative all the time, who have nothing good to say, and oh, life just sucks, why me? Those people shouldn't be in your circle. And I learned that. I actually learned that after Graves' disease, because I am an empath. I'm an empath. I want to help everybody. I want to just get everybody to feel better and do okay and do good and all that. But I also take it on. I take on that energy. And you do that when you're an empath. And so I have learned that the safest, healthiest thing for my own life is to only surround myself. Thanks, Deb. With the people who actually are like me, who want to bring joy and who, and want to be around people who have generous hearts. And that's what I do actively. I do that proactively, and it really makes a difference. So that's the difference about post. I've really learned self-love. Self-love is huge, and self-care. I did not know that, Olga. I did not understand self-love until.
So I was talking to someone who was in their mid 70s, and she was sharing that it was during COVID that she learned the concept of boundaries. And she's so
Yes.
grateful to COVID. She says, my whole life, I didn't know what boundaries were.
I love that.
What you said in terms of, people, surrounding yourself with people, and you also said something very important, and that is, you said you became intentional and you became deliberate about things. And this is something that you can definitely control, right? So there are things that you cannot control with the disease, but the things that you can control with your mindset, with the decisions that you make, whether it comes to food or whether it comes to going outside rather than watching TV, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
little things that you can do, absolutely everyone, little things that you can choose that will get you to the brighter side a little faster. And this is, I really love that how you said intentional. And it's a hard thing to do what you were sharing with people. It's a hard thing to do, to start phasing people out, something that I myself had to do very intentionally and deliberately. But it is an important thing to do if you want to be well, and if you want to stay well, and if you want to
Yes.
get well and be
Yes.
better.
Absolutely. 100, actually 1,000%. I cannot agree with that more. And it's a mindset. We have power and control over that. But I just noticed a question popped up on the chat that I'd like to answer, if that's okay. It came from Abby. Hi, Abby. Her question was, what does remission look like? Am I still on any medication? And I think was that the rest of I think that was the question. Okay. So number one, I am no longer on medication. I haven't been on medication for over 6 years. And there's only 3 kinds of medication. There's methimazole, carbimazole, and propylthyracil. Methimazole kicked my butt. I had an allergic reaction to it, broke out in a horrible rash 3 weeks after taking it. I mean, I had welts on welts, and my body did not like it. And so the doctor said, get off of it immediately. You're obviously very allergic to it. And some people tolerate it. I didn't. And so they put me on another medication called propylthyracil. Now, what remission looks like here is, and I always have to make sure I preface this, I'm not a doctor, nor am I in the medical or healthcare profession. this is what my understanding of it was based on what my endocrinologist shared with me. When you go into remission, your numbers, your labs are finally normal and stable. Now, your numbers need to stay in that normal range for a 2-year period. During that 2 years, you actually have gotten weaned off your medication at the start when the doctor actually sees the normalcy. And if you can stay for the 2 years without medication, you're officially in remission. But of course, you have to take care of your body and do the right things that you've been doing. But here's what happened to me. I was 1 year, almost 11 months, okay, in remission. I didn't make it to that 2-year mark. And she told me, I have to put you on medication again because your numbers are starting to slide. And I begged her not to put me back on medication. And I know, here's what caused it. I can tell you right for sure. It was stress. At that point in my life was a mess. There was so much stress going on. And I knew what triggered it because there are triggers. So stress is huge. How to really take care of the stress when you're in remission. And this is why it's a mindset thing. It's boundaries. It's learning how to take care of your circle, right? But she put me on medication, and I went back on medication for propylthyrosol, PTU, for a very short period of time. And my numbers went back to normal. And she said, we're going to start this again. So she weaned me off, and I made that 2-year mark. And then the 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, and 6 years. So Abby, in answer to your question, you do get taken off medication, and you just have to really take care of all of your being to stay in remission. But it is absolutely possible. It's possible.
But it is my last question. I know that's the biggest question. So it takes a lot of work to arrive where you are, but also to stay where you are, right? So to stay in remission. And you have your own secret recipe. 77 of them, 800.
Oh, my books.
They're in your books. And
Yes,
I love the name of your workbook is?
It is called There Had to Be Another Way.
There has to be another way, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, there had to be another way. Things you didn't know you could do for Graves' disease. And so
you had to give up a lot of things, and that is starting with food, like so many different things. And I absolutely love, I shared with you earlier, I absolutely love how now that if you try something that is not in your lifestyle now, and it just you break out in rashes, or where you talk about it, and when you listen to your body, whether it's a slice of pizza or it's ice cream, it doesn't connect with you anymore. But it's a lot of work. So how long did it take you to iron it out to get to the process where you are now? And how hard was it for you? How can anybody do it? If you said this worked for me, it may not work for everyone else, but there are a lot of things that you recommend, for instance, when it comes to recipes, but also when it comes to ingredients, right? You talk about different oils, different salts, different vinegars, and what they do for your body. So I guess it's a very long-winded question on how hard was it? How hard is it? And it's definitely worth it. But do you sometimes?
No. It's again, it's a really good question. I say that it worked for me, but I also say there's something you need to remember. I don't teach what you can't eat anymore. I teach you what you can and what you can do, because it's not just about the food. The book, There Had to Be Another Way, Things You Didn't Know You Could Do for Graves' Disease. I actually have people who buy the book who don't have Graves' disease because it's a lifestyle. This is what I teach. It's not just eat this, don't eat that, eat this, because I went plant-based. That worked for me. And I don't advocate that everybody do that, because some people, they're so afraid of change and they're like, no way, because I resisted it for a whole year. I said, what? No, plant-based people, vegans, vegetarians. Oh, no, 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 no. I was a meat and potatoes girl. Give me my meat and potatoes and I'm a happy girl. I'll have a salad on the side. But when a whole year went by before I finally decided I'm got to try this. I mean, what have you got to lose? You've got nothing to lose, Mina, and everything to gain if it works. And I still test my theory out. I don't do meat or poultry or seafood, but I will still venture out. And you've seen it on my Instagram. I don't do dairy. I will occasionally, but very, 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 very rarely. Again, I'm not militant about it. What I try to teach people is you're going to have to figure out, and that's what the cookbook is about. That's what the guidebook is about. Here's the cookbook. It's called How to Master Simple to Gourmet Plant-Based Flavors from Around the World. But I teach you how to develop and create your own signature recipe for what works for you. And I walk you through that. I'm working on releasing an academy. It's an 8-week academy that'll be released probably in the next month or so, if not sooner, that actually will teach you within 8 weeks. These are the absolute things you need to be doing if you want to feel better. And things like oils, you just said that, oils and how you go grocery shopping even. I teach you how to do that, because we don't think about those things
I
necessarily.
absolutely love it how you break it down too. It's fabulous. Yeah, because sometimes you just, again, you don't know where to start, right? And there are all these things going on.
Yes.
And when you break it down with a grocery, how to go grocery shopping, because a lot of
Yes.
people just, you have to start at zero again. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Yes, for sure. So
we
yeah.
are at our 45-minute mark. And I just want to thank you so much for this absolutely wonderful conversation. I want to give a huge shout out to somebody who is a birthday girl tomorrow.
Oh, I'm like,
we're gonna be, yeah. So it's a big birthday for Mina. So I hope that you send her something very special in terms of a message, a flower, a card, a heart, anything. Just that Mina deserves so much love.
and I just want to thank everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys so much for being on. And yay! go embrace life.
Happy early birthday. We're
thank
sending
you.
big virtual hugs.
Thank you, Olga.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Love you guys. Bye.